to my channel. Alright, so this is really my second video, but it's the first video that I actually get to talk about something other than what the cards are telling me. I know I did my first video for tarot this last Sunday, however, this is the first time that I get to speak from myself and not just as a messenger for these cards, so I'm really excited to be able to kind of just dive into this for you. Now, I'm kind of going to explain how my channel is going to work as of right now. I'm a Gemini, so I have ideas bouncing all over my head all the time, so I'm sure, 100% sure that this will change at some point. However, at this point, I am going to split my channel into two separate playlists. One, which will be called The Witch's Corner, strictly for all my videos about witchcraft, anything and everything that you'd essentially want to know about witchcraft that I practice in my daily life. And then the next one is my Mindful Madness playlist, which is full of everything about the law of attraction, mindfulness, and just additional portions of spirituality. So I'm really excited to just kind of dive into this video with you guys today. I'm deciding to go with the number one most asked question that I do get in my personal life, which really is, what actually is a witch? What is witchcraft? What is the secret to witchcraft? And I'll tell you right now, it's definitely not what's portrayed in Hollywood. It's not Charmed, it's not magic fireballs exploding out of your hands, it's nothing like that. Witchcraft is a very complex spiritual idea. And to kind of pull together the best definition for you guys on what a witch is, I went to fellow witch friends of mine that I have in a bunch of these little witchy Facebook groups that I'm in, and I asked them to see if they could possibly just sum up witchcraft in one sentence. Witchcraft, or what a witch is, just in one sentence. And so these were some of the responses that I did get. One person said, I'd say it's a person in tune with and can manipulate and focus the energies that surround us. A greater intuition on a spiritual level connected to all living things, a being free of thought. Witch, the practitioner, witchcraft, the practice, and the practice is the worship of earth as we see it. Spells would then be prayers. This one's one of my favorites. Tree-hugging dirt worshiper, which can be true. That's true for me. Someone who can understand, love, respect, and work with nature. A spiritual person who pulls strength and influence from a number of sources like the elements and the gods. The freedom to pursue and understand the connections in life, whether it be with people, animals, or nature. This one is one of my absolute favorite definitions that I got from this whole consensus. It is control. It is not being helplessly awash in a sea of destiny. It is having a hand in your own fate. That is the true magic. Just like if you used to watch Gossip Girl when you were younger, like I did, when Blair said destiny's for losers, because that's just an excuse to let things happen to you instead of make things happen to you. Oh, this one is definitely one of my favorites as well. An old soul that remembers what the gods whispered at the beginning of the universe. We'll get a little bit more in depth with that when we start talking about the soul and what the soul is, where the soul came from, why the soul is here. An individual that has tapped into their true self and their own personal power. And as we continue to talk about the law of attraction, so forth on this channel, we'll kind of get a little bit more into depth with that. All right, now witchcraft to me is very much the art of connecting and understanding the physical and universal energies, and just using your knowledge in a respectful way to build a life that you actually genuinely want for yourself. It's kind of a tool of empowerment. It's something that's given me a lot of control back in my life, especially at times where I felt like I was losing control. Witchcraft, like I said, is so misinterpreted by Hollywood, and so many people are just really confused by what witchcraft actually is. Witchcraft is a huge part of my life. It tends to intertwine itself into day-to-day activities all over the place. It is such a huge part in my life, and I was doing it long before I even realized that that is exactly what I was doing. It was a lifestyle that was literally calling to me whether I knew it or not, and I just kind of ended up there. Now each witch has a different path. No witch's path is going to be the exact same. There's so many different types. I don't really like to group people, but there's a lot of different types of witches, a lot of different paths that you can follow, and just a lot of different things that you can go into, and I'll go into that in a separate video where we can talk about the different types of witches, the different paths that you can follow, and which one you would most likely fall into. Again, like I said, I don't really like labels. I am what I consider an eclectic witch. I just kind of pull from literally everything, whatever just resonates with my soul, that's what I practice. But there are some very structured paths to witchcraft, and we can go over those at a later date. However, I'm going to give you guys kind of an opportunity to get to know me and my story when it comes to how I kind of stumbled upon witchcraft, and how it actually ended up kind of really benefiting me and just changing my life. Okay, so I grew up in a very Christian household. My whole family is very Christian, believes in one God, the Holy Ghost, all of that. And when I was about 15 years old, I kind of decided that it wasn't really working for me. It wasn't really resonating with me. And it just wasn't really something that I fully believed in. It wasn't something that gave me passion, or it didn't inspire me. I didn't read the Bible. I didn't pray to God every night. I wasn't a good Christian to begin with. So when I was 16, I actually found this shop near my house. It was called As Above, So Below. And it immediately caught my eye. I wanted to know what it was. And so me and my best friend at the time decided that we were gonna go in and just kind of see what this store was all about. It actually ended up being a Wiccan shop. Now, Wicca is also a witch's path. It's also a very structured religion. Now, knowing myself, I don't enjoy organized religion. As you can tell from my whole story with Christianity, I don't do organized religion, so it really didn't work out for me. But that's kind of what started the process for me. I went to a couple ritual ceremonies that they had. I started reading lots of books. I started kind of keeping my own book of spells or whatever. I bought spell books, I bought candles, I was trying things kind of out on my own, and I kept it all in this little box under my bed. And I remember my mom found my box one night and was highly upset because witchcraft in the Christian community is frowned upon. There are Christian witches, not very many because of the stigma that comes with witchcraft and Christianity. So needless to say, my mom threw everything away. It was something that we were no longer to speak about in our house. It was something that I was no longer to be looking into, and it was just kind of done for me at that point. When I turned 17, a friend actually introduced me to astrology. I had never heard of really the zodiac signs before this, never done any actual type of research on it, but a friend of mine introduced it to me and I fell in love with it. I started reading everything that I could about my sun sign, which again is Gemini. I learned about birth charts. I started doing my birth chart. I started reading astro charts. I really started just reading everything that I could possibly read about zodiac signs because it resonated so heavily with me. It made so much sense to me and it was so accurate for me. So I just really dove into that for the next year of my life and just really started working with the stars and with astrology and the zodiac signs, and started to just learn as much as I could about that. When I was 18, I moved out of my parents' house 6 days after I turned 18. And needless to say, as a Christian kid finally out on their own, I kind of went a little bit wild. Now this is like a very vulnerable story for me. It's kind of hard for me to share because I was a very different person back then. I was partying all the time. I was drinking all the time. I was doing a whole bunch of things that I shouldn't have been doing and that weren't aligning with my higher self. At this moment in my life, it was a crucial turning point, and I'm so thankful that it happened because I would not be where I am today without it, but it, needless to say, was about the hardest point in my entire life. March of that year, I ended up getting stuck in a sticky situation that I really didn't belong in. It wasn't necessarily my situation, it wasn't my fault, but I ended up taking the fall for it and getting arrested for it. Got arrested, after that, I lost my job because I had gotten arrested. I got kicked out of where I was living. I lost my best friend at the time, and I kind of just lost my entire relationship with my family because, again, being arrested, coming from a Christian family, does not sit well with your family. And I really didn't talk to them for quite a few months after all of this went down. So I was feeling very much alone. I only had my boyfriend to talk to. I was going through phases of dissociation where I was feeling like somebody physically picked my soul up out of my body and put it in somebody else's body, and I was not living my life, I was living their life, everything was different, everything changed so fast, and all of this had happened within a matter of 10 days. My whole life was turned upside down in a matter of 10 days, and I really just felt like I was just entirely drowning. And then this person that I happened to know at the time showed me the daily teachings from The Secret, the book. If you haven't read it, if you haven't watched it on Netflix, I suggest that you go watch it because it's a great introduction to the law of attraction and it's really inspiring. But I read one page and it resonated so much again with my soul. I was so just taken aback by everything that it had said just in this one page. So I went and I watched the movie and I was just mind blown at everything that it had told me. I was so excited to just kind of learn more about the law of attraction and this secret that all the successful people in the world had been using. And I bought the Daily Teachings book. I bought multiple copies of this book. I read it every single day. That became my Bible. I gave it out to people. I no longer own a copy of that book because I gave it out to so many people because it became my Bible. It inspired me so much that anytime I saw anybody struggling, I bought a copy of that book and I gave it to them to read. I need to go buy the copy again because I love that book so much and it changed my life on so many different levels. But learning about the law of attraction really changed my entire mindset, the entire fundamentals of who I was as a person. I began rewiring my brain to think positively instead of negatively. I started looking for the silver lining in every situation, and within a matter of probably 3 months after I got arrested and all of this had happened, I was already so thankful and so grateful for everything that had happened because it had already made my life so much better on so many different levels. Like, I was so grateful after such a short period of time, which normally the person that I had been before, I would have been bitter about it for so long. So the law of attraction really changed my life so much, and that's one video that I'm really excited to kind of dive into and talk about because it did so much for me. But for that year, I really just dove into the law of attraction. I applied the principles, I listened to Abraham Hicks, I did pretty much everything that I could to do with the law of attraction to just kind of help my life out with that. Then when I was 19, I dove into tarot. I bought my first tarot deck. Now, I know a lot of people say that you're supposed to be gifted tarot decks so that you can then read. It's supposed to be a gift. It's really not. I would like to just kind of disband that myth right now. I mean, it's up to the person and the practitioner if you would prefer to receive it as a gift rather than buy your own. By all means, go for it. But I just want everybody to know you don't have to wait for somebody to give you a tarot deck. If you feel called to tarot, go get one that resonates with you. I really dove into tarot for about the next year of my life. I use tarot all the time still. Obviously, since my first video was tarot readings. And I basically they like to call advice cards. That's what I tell people they are. They give me advice. I ask them for answers to basically any major life change that I'm making within my life at any given point. I talk to them all the time, almost every day. Each deck that I have, and I have so many, each has a different personality, each has a completely different way that it reads. You really have to develop this relationship with tarot, and I spent the next probably year doing that for myself, just really diving into tarot, and it became an additional passion and another love for me. And then I turned 20. It was September of last year, 2018, and I had found that I kind of was back in this very dark place. And I don't want to say dark like the first time where I literally didn't know which way was up, but at this moment in my life, I didn't really know who I was. If you were to ask me what my hobbies were, I couldn't tell you what I liked to do. I didn't know what I liked to do. I knew that I went to work, I knew that I came home and I cooked dinner and I went to bed, and that was about it. And it kind of scared me when I realized that I didn't know what I liked to do anymore. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life anymore. I didn't know where I wanted to go anymore. I had always wanted to be a doctor when I was, from like the time I can remember, like 4 years old all the way until I got arrested at 18. Couldn't be a doctor at that point because I did have a charge on my record. And so I really was just kind of lost and floating at this point. And some situations happened that actually really pushed me back towards looking into witchcraft. And when I started looking into it, I realized that everything that I had been working on and everything that I had been doing for the last 3 years tied into witchcraft. It was something that I was already practicing, even though I didn't actively call myself a witch. And so I started kind of looking into everything a little bit more. I started reading into Book of Shadows, I started reading into spell crafting, into writing your own spells, and candle magic and color magic, and using tarot cards in spells. And I found that for me, being a witch is all about your intention. It has nothing to do with the candles really that you light, or the crystals that you have in your room, or the herbs that you're using, or really just any of the tools that you have. It's all in your intention. All the spell crafting and the rituals and the phases of the moon and all that this does is really just amplify. It acts as like a megaphone to the universe, so you can tell the universe exactly what it wants. It helps you align to that vibrational match to the universe so that it can respond then with the life that you want. Like attracts like, and we'll go more into that kind of when we talk about the law of attraction. But as a witch, it's learning to use these elements and these universal laws that we have here on earth to your benefit, so that you can live a fulfilling life that you actually want to live. And as I started really just studying witchcraft and really getting into it about, I want to say in December or January of this year, I got this crazy idea that I want to open an apothecary, just a shop for herbal healing and for witchcraft, for all these different things. And I really feel like it was just this divinely inspired thing where I still get to heal people the same way that I wanted to at 4 as a doctor, but just in a less conventional way, in a way that suits me as a person so much more than going to school for 13 years and doing a residency and working psychotic hours and barely sleeping ever would. And so going on this journey throughout my craft has really taught me so much about myself, about who I am, about what it is, again, that I like to do, what my hobbies are, what I like to talk about. This YouTube channel obviously would not be a thing if I did not find witchcraft. I don't know, a lot of my life wouldn't be the way that it is if I hadn't found my craft and my path. And I'm so grateful that the universe really did guide me there. Everything does happen for a reason. That was the one phrase that stuck out to me when my life was flipped upside down at 18. It stuck out to me so much that it was the only thing I could hold on to for the longest time to keep me going. And I actually do have it tattooed on my leg in a different language, just to always remind me that everything does happen for a reason. It does happen for a reason, and there would be no this without everything that came before. And so I hope that kind of explained a little bit of what witchcraft is. Now, it's going to be different for every single person, just like the paths are different. If you're getting into witchcraft, if you're studying it, it's something that you need to study and you need to find your definition of for yourself. But I do know a lot of people ask me questions about what it is. A lot of people are confused. A lot of people are conflicted and just don't understand. I want to just put the myths to rest. It's not Satan worshiping. It's not evil. It's not anything bad. It's really just all about your intention. And my intention has never been to be a bad person in my life. It's never been to hurt anybody. It's never been anything like that. It's always been light. It's always been white light that I've intended to help people, to protect my family, and things like that. That's the only reason I've ever had to use witchcraft. And so if you guys have any additional questions or any other concern, please leave a comment below. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that are in regards to this, because I know so many people are curious. Follow me on Instagram. It's at Shelby the Gemini, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a lovely rest of your week. Mwah.